Hello, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day weekend. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I welcome you all to the Inspired Women Show. And I am your host, Dr. Chinwe Okudo. And I have my guest today, Mary Wang. And it's a pleasure to be hosting this topic on how to avoid toxic relationships, purposeful relationships. Throughout the year, the show has been focusing on purposeful, healthy living for 2021. But because of the month that we are in and the weekend that we are in, I decided to switch it up a little bit so that we can talk about relationships because this weekend is about love. And I figured that it was going to be wise to do something on relationships. So that is why we're doing this topic today, how to avoid toxic relationships and purposeful relationships. As we all know, what the idea of marriage or any kind of relationship is for companionship. It's a relationship where one can be able to relate with one another and benefit mutually. It is supposed to bring us joy and to help us to fulfill one another. But as we know, sometimes that's not the case, especially for women. Some men also do go into abusive relationship, but mostly because women are the weaker vessels. Sometimes some women find themselves in an abusive relationship or what we consider a toxic relationship, either out of pressure, either out of low self-confidence, either out of not knowing your purpose in life, because most times when you don't know your purpose in life, you can settle for anything. And that is why my show is about paths to life purpose discovery, because we have to discover, first of all, what our purpose in life is before getting into any form of relationship. But these days, that is not the case. Most times we're going into relationships blindly without knowing what we are here for or who we are. And when you don't know who you are, then you can settle for what somebody else tells you that you are. Because like they always say, when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. So it's always very important that first of all, before going into any form of relationship, that you understand who you are and why you're here before getting into a relationship, so that you do not get yourself into something that can ruin you, because who you enter into a relationship with can either mar or make you. So it's very important that we are choosing wisely so that we do not destroy our destiny by getting into the wrong relationships. So today I have an awesome guest all the way from Los Angeles, California, who I'm super excited to have in our midst today. And I'm going to go ahead and tell us a little about her before I bring her on to the show. And she is Mary Wang. Let me not butcher your name. She is America's female empowerment expert. She's an author. She has over a decade of experience helping women rapidly transform traumatic experiences into points of power. She is the founder of the Light Warrior School, fostering emotional intelligence in children, and creator of Optimal Human Development. Mary is the author of Amazon International bestseller, The Empowered Child, Raising Conscious, Confident, Connected Kids, and author of Set Sail, another bestseller, detailing her process of turning traumas into treasures. After fleeing and healing from an abusive marriage to now enjoying freedom and bliss, Mary uses her experience to help women connect the dots between healing personal traumas and consciously raising the next generation of empowered children. Mary has shared stages with great speakers like Les Brown, Deepak Chopra, and David Wilcock, speaking on the legacy impact of empowerment and transformation. She has been interviewed in the award-winning documentary, The Weight of Success. Her expertise has been featured on award-winning podcasts like The Tao of Self-Confidence, Asian Women of Power, and Parent Pump Radio. Oh my goodness. Without further ado, I'll present to you our guest for the day, Mary Guang. Mary, you're welcome to the show. Thank you so much.
Hi.
That is powerful. What a
Oh, thank
powerful bio. That is
you.
awesome. I welcome you and I thank you for the opportunity given today to share your experiences and also be able to talk on this topic that have ravaged a whole lot of women out there. According to statistics, 20 people every minute are a victim of intimate domestic partner abuse, and 1 in 4 women will experience some form of domestic abuse in their lifetime. So this is a very serious case in our society, especially with the COVID-19 virus going on. A lot of people are found themselves locked together in the same house. A lot of people that will get up in the morning and leave and come back are now stuck in the same house trying to relearn themselves and understand who they are once again. And it has created a whole lot of tension in homes. For some people, it has built them up. For some homes, it has torn them apart. So this is something that is ravaging our society today, and it's something that we need to talk about to share on what are the signs and also how we can take care of it. So it's my pleasure to have you today. And before we go into our topic for today, I want you to tell us a little bit about, I know I've shared your bio, which is an awesome bio. Just tell us a little bit about why you do what you do today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much for having me here and talking about this really taboo topic. Everybody knows that abuse and intimate partner abuse is an issue, but nobody really wants to talk about it because it's dirty, it's dark, nobody wants to really open that box, but we have to. We're living in a world right now where we can't afford to not talk about these things that are because it's happening and it's increasing, like you said, because of COVID. So the reason I do what I do is because of my own experience. I just left before COVID hit. 2 months before COVID hit, I took my 2 young daughters and I fled an abusive marriage and started over. I had to shut down my business, move to a brand new town where we didn't know a soul, and start over with no contacts and no support. And here we are a little bit over a year later, and thank goodness for having the faith of knowing who I am, because I know who I belong to, which is the Most High. But also I've been an empowerment coach for women for over 10 years. So I've been able to use the tools with my children and with myself and with the support of other healers as well and really prayer was everything.
Yes.
But to be able to come to this place now, which is why God put me on the planet, is to help lead women into a place of knowing who they are. I had to transform completely to be able to stand there correctly anchoring what it is to know yourself and know your purpose so that you are untouchable. You are not able to be in a relationship that's going to abuse you. So I had to leave that relationship. And through the healing, I went back to my childhood and saw that the abuse that I endured as a child, repeated again and again throughout all the years, for decades and decades, whether it's a narcissistic boss, other abusive relationships, again and again, until it gets bad enough where you just have to smash through the blueprint. And like you said earlier, it's, we get the pressure of you have to, according to your culture, according to you, a woman, according to your generation, there's all these shoulds about who you need to be successful as a woman. I know in my culture, you're not allowed to have a voice. You're not allowed to be more powerful than a man. You're not allowed to go out and earn money. Like, these are all the things that we're taught. So what happens, this is going to lead into the tips that I'm going to give later about how do we avoid these things.
Mm-hmm.
But this is why I do it, because of my own experience. I saw my mother go through it, and I have 2 young daughters. And I said, this stops here with me. Never again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is powerful. That is powerful. One thing I always said is this: had it not been for the things we've been through, we will not be doing what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Years back, if you tell me that I'll be sitting down here today doing this, I'll be like, are you all right? Like, how in the world am I supposed to be doing this? I remember when the word of prophecies came a while ago that you're supposed to be teaching women, you're supposed to be empowering women. I'm like, I don't know how that's going to happen. But over time, I got to realize that the things that I've been through were preparing me for the assignment of God upon my life.
Right.
So, if not for the trauma and the abuse that I went through my own self, I was sharing with you before the show started. I mean, I've been through an abusive relationship myself, and it was something that I never planned for my life, but it happened.
Yeah.
It happened. And one thing that happens with being in an abusive relationship is that it has a way of damaging your self-esteem.
Mm.
It has a way of destroying who you are. I, as a mental health provider, each time in my office, I also do aesthetic services. So I see women that need to augment their look and address their mental health needs. And most of the time, the reason behind them trying to augment their look has to do with what someone said to them about how they look. And most of the time, it's from an intimate partner. I had one that came in and was bawling and crying. I was like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, oh, he just told me I'm fat, I'm ugly, nobody else is gonna want me, and I should be thankful that he's staying with me because he's doing me a favor. And I'm looking at this beautiful young girl crying her eyes out. I tried so hard to console her, but she was unconsolable. And that was one of the reasons, the things that prompted me to write my book, Celebrate Your Uniqueness. Lady, you are good enough. Because I felt like I needed to come up with that tool to empower women to understand that it doesn't matter what anyone says about you. It doesn't matter what anybody's definition about what you look like is, but you are unique. There is a purpose for your life, and God equipped you whole enough to be the woman that He has called you to be that person that He has called you to be. According to that assignment upon your life, you're beautiful just the way you are for the assignment upon your life. So nobody can tell you you're ugly. Nobody can come up and tell you that you are this or you're that. I remember back in my own days where I will finish cooking and he comes back and say, it smells like poop in this house, and it's my food smelling like poop. And you know what that does to me? Then I will break down and I will cry, and he will come back and say things that are very hurtful, and it made me feel so bad about myself. And I sometimes I just want to hide myself. I don't want to be seen because of the things that I was hearing. And that is what a whole lot of women are going through. Sometimes it may be physical. I've been beating up myself, and a lot of women are also going through that, whereby you're beating up, you're told what you look like and what it doesn't matter what you think you look like, but they're telling you what you look like, and you believe it, and you go about with that feeling of sadness, thinking that you're not good enough because somebody have told you that you're not good enough. So this is a big case for us. For me, coming from Africa, I remember when I was in law school, our third year, they gave us this assignment. It's on children and women law, and the assignment was that we have to go to the police department and get a record of reports on abuse on women. And we went to the police station, and they said we need to go sit down somewhere and wait for them. They're coming with that report. We waited for 8 hours.
Wow.
And by 2 o'clock, the officer came to us and said, what did you say you're here for again? I said, okay, we are from University of Nigeria, Enugu campus law faculty, and this is an assignment they gave us that we need to get a report on records of abuse on women. And they said to us, we don't have such record. That is a family matter. You need to go back to whoever sent you and tell them that we do not keep such record because it's a family matter. I was blown away. And when we came back, we were like, oh my God, this professor is going to fail us because this is not what she asked us to do. But when we went back to tell her, this is the report, she's like, she knew that was the report, but she needed us to go. The idea of the assignment is for us to go by ourselves and find out that this country that we come from, which is Nigeria, that there's no such record. So if you're being abused, you're your own, is not something that is reported. back in Nigeria as of then. I don't know what the case is now, but
And
well,
that's a big problem. That's a big problem
yeah,
for why women stay in abusive situations. Number one, these verbal abuse, mental and psychological abuse, there's no scars visibly, but it
yes,
scars internally, and it
yes,
breaks you down one word at a time, day by day, until the person starts to believe those words. And then they start to shrink and they start to hide. And then they believe, oh, I can't be anything. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. And then they stop trying and they become the person that the abuser wants them to be.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
it's a terrible thing. And then when women are controlled financially, so there's financial abuse, physical abuse is only one. I want women to understand there are so many other forms of abuse before that even happens. There's the verbal, psychological, emotional, spiritual, financial. When people are being controlled or they're in from another country, and they're afraid, they're being made afraid, okay, I can threaten you to leave the country, get you in trouble. I'm not going to give you the funds so that you can have freedom and independence and have your own thoughts and leave. But the thing that I've discovered is that, you know, abusers are actually really broken on the inside. You know, I actually have a lot of compassion, and I feel bad because they're the ones who really need to understand that they have this wounded child on the inside. They need to love. And they need to do the work to understand who they are and why they became that. But back to the women that we're serving today, we have to be the ones to do that for ourselves. We have to be the ones to invest in understanding who are we? Yes. Where did we come from? What did our culture teach us and expect from us? In my culture and a lot of cultures, women are expected to find a man. I know for me, I was expected to find a man who was going to do well in life and take care of me because I'm a woman and I'm not capable of providing for myself. That's the program. And I did that, but then it becomes abusive and it becomes the perfect scenario for abuse. You're dependent, you're codependent, and it's dangerous. It's a very dangerous place to be. So the UN wants to help resolve violence against women and children by 2032 or 2032, yes. Yeah. And one of the things they want to do is, you know, financial empowerment, getting women to understand that that's important. Conscious parenting is another important piece, which is why I wrote this book, The Empowered Child, because you have to change the way that we were parented. That's step one. Is understand who you are and where you came from. How were you parented? Because if you don't pay attention, you're going to repeat that without realizing.
Absolutely.
And you cannot, that's where you have to say, this is where it stops. Because if you unconsciously continue that, you're continuing the generational trauma. Yes. And you and I are here to say no more. We have to be aware and heal our own childhood wounds in order to be a conscious parent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is so powerful. That is so powerful. So I just, as we go, I just want you to tell us a little bit, what is your idea of a perfect relationship?
Girl, a perfect relationship. I love it. It's two people. Like, to me, it just makes like common sense, but two people who are really devoted to understanding who they are. What does that mean? Well, who are we? We're a physical being. We're a physical temple housing the Most High God, the Spirit, to come in and live through us. Hey, Amaya. Hey, Wendy.
Hey.
I see you.
Hey, Pastor Wendy. Oh, yeah. Oh, hi, Pastor Wendy. Thank you so much, sis, for joining us. Thank you.
And so we have to be two people who are devoted to understanding our purpose, who we are. And our purpose is, number one, understanding that we are the temple housing this presence of the Most High on the planet to bring forth the light and the transformation and leading and guiding all the other people who are looking for the light. So, but to bring it back to the partnership of love and two people, you want the values of mutual respect, integrity, love, of course, love. And what not to have is competition. Always arguing and not working together, non-collaboration. Like when I found out that I was in a partnership where the other person was competing with me and I thought we were a team the whole time, that shattered my whole
Mm.
brain. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
how did that happen?
How
So
did we get here?
yeah. And that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, you got to know the signs, because it's very difficult to know that someone is a covert narcissist or a covert abuser, because they can come across very charming, well-dressed, educated, and saying all the right things. But you have to develop yourself to know who you are, so that if you can hear what spirit is saying to you, then you will have more discernment of who is around you.
Yes.
And who is for you and who is not for you.
Who is against you?
The people closest to you, they can be, wolves in sheep's clothing. And you got to really develop yourself
Understand
to
that.
be aware. Yeah.
That is awesome. Okay. So now that we kind of know what a perfect relationship is supposed to be, what would you say are the red flags of a toxic relationship?
Yeah. So I dropped a few clues along the way.
Yeah,
So,
we've been dropping it all along.
yeah. So just to sum it up again, red flags would be, someone who's love bombing you. So there's a cycle of abuse. There's a cycle of abuse. And I want people to understand that too, because I didn't know that until I went to the Domestic Violence Center and they educated me. I was in female empowerment for 10 years, but working on transformation and trauma healing rapidly. But I was missing that piece of understanding that cycle of abuse. And what happens is you have this tension building up over time. And then the tension builds up, and then it becomes an abusive situation. Whether it's verbal, emotional, psychological, physical, all the different ways. But then there's like the tension builds up, and then you have this incident. And then there's reconciliation, because, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. And then there's calmness. And then it just keeps on repeating itself. And it keeps you stuck because you love this person. Because when you're first dating this person, you only see, everybody wants to show their best face forward. But then what happens is you're so invested, you love this person, and then the tension starts building, then the abusive incident happens, and then they're so sorry, and then they love bomb you, I love you so much, and then it's calm because everything's peaceful again, you forgive. And then slowly it starts to, the tension build up. And where does the tension build up come from? It doesn't have to just be within the relationship. It can be from work, from outside situations, but they come home, you're the one at home, and you get the brunt of it. So women have to understand that it goes back to self-worth. I didn't even understand, being a female empowerment expert at the time, that, I needed more self-worth. I needed to understand, to come back home to who am I really? My relationship with God wasn't what it is until I graduated from this abusive marriage. That marriage that helped me graduate from the repeated cycles of abuse all over the years. And it was God that, I got broken down and built me back up, and I understand now who I really am. And that's how women are going to really heal. They got to have that internal relationship with the God self within. And that's going to lead you to salvation.
That's it. That's where our help comes from. That's where our help comes from, because when you are in a situation like that, and sometimes I don't know how people that don't know God, I don't know how they deal with such situations, because in my own case, that was my only rescue. That was my only hiding place. That was the only place I could run to find that help and succor. Because at some point you feel like you're losing your mind. I could remember at some point whereby I can't even sleep, and I'm like, I'll quote this scripture over and over. Father, give me sleep. You give it your beloved sleep, because I couldn't sleep. And the only place I could stay sane was worship. I will always worship. I will always put some worship song. That was the only thing that will keep me calm. Because once I turn it off, it's like there's madness going on in the head, and my brain and my mind is racing all over the place. I could not stay calm for anything at all. So it was in God that I found my peace. It was in worship that I found my calmness. So for any woman out there that is going through one form of abuse or the other, and you don't know God, I implore you, to make him your Lord and personal Savior, because that's the first step. You need to find him first. That is where your healing starts. Because if you're fighting a battle by yourself, you can never win that battle. You only win your battle in Christ Jesus. That's the only place where you find your help. So first of all, find him, and that's the step to your recovery. So as we go along, Mary, I want you to tell us, okay, we've talked about the red flags, we've talked about the perfect relationship. I want you to tell, for the listeners out there, how can you avoid a toxic relationship? What are the things you can do to help to prevent that, or to help curb this relationship, toxic relationship that we see that is ravaging us today?
Yeah. Well, I want to say one thing about worship. When you look at the word, the etymology of where the word worship comes from, because this helps to answer that question. The root word of the etymology is worthiness. You already knew that.
Okay,
so
now.
The whole point of that is it goes both ways. When you start to look for, who is this creator? Who is this creator that I call God? And everybody has their own definition, and that's okay. Okay? Because you can't really name the Most High God. We're just giving it a word. But when you go on that journey to understand who that is that created you, what that is that created you, you become to feel worthy. And then you become to know more of who you are. So when you know who you are, you know your creator, because your creator created you. When you know creator, you know yourself. So doing those two things are utmost importance for you to avoid toxic relationships.
Yes.
Number two, knowing where your childhood experiences were. Did you have abusive parents? Did you have toxic parents? Did you have abusive situations? If so, be real and go back and do the work to heal that. You know, whether with the doctor or with me, with another specialist that is like very good at helping you transform that. And then don't ever stop. Keep doing that work. And number three, know the signs. Know the signs that we've been talking about this whole entire time. Those are red flags. And don't make excuses. Just because you have parts of them that are amazing, but most of the time they're abusing you, doesn't mean, just because you love someone does not mean you are supposed to take the abuse. You have to love yourself. And the final thing I want to say is, there comes a point when someone leaves where they have to ask themselves, I love this person so much, but they're hurting me. I have to either choose me or choose them, because this is life or death. Who am I going to choose? You have to choose you. Of course you have to choose me. So
all the time.
Wait until you get to that point. Because the only reason why you're waiting to that point is because if you had abusive childhood, your threshold, your thermostat for how much toxicity you can take is set too high, and you just don't know it. So when you do the work, you set that thermostat down so that you don't take that abuse anymore, and just get out. Don't wait till you get a black eye or a broken bone. Get out.
Absolutely. That is powerful. Thank you so much, Mary, for those insights. I just want to share for the young ones out there that you're opportune, that you're not married yet. I just want you to tell yourself congratulations, because you have the chance and the opportunity to make sure you make the right decision for yourself. Marriage is something very important about your destiny. I want you to take out the time to discover who you are, find out why God made you and why you're here, the purpose of your life. Also, before getting into relationship with anyone, make sure you share the same belief, because you cannot be equally yoked, because that's what the scripture says in 2 Corinthians 6 verse 14. Do not be equally yoked with an unbeliever. You cannot be a Christian, marry an unbeliever. What you believe, you make sure that whoever you're getting yourself entangled with shares the same belief with you, that same person understands your purpose and can be able to work hand in hand with you to foster your own purpose. Do not rush into a relationship. Do not allow anybody to pressurize you. You have the Spirit of God in you if you're a child of God, and He speaks to you. When the right one comes, you will feel that calmness. The Spirit will bear you witness whether this is right or wrong. Do not try to argue your way out of something that you know could be damaging for you. Do not try to tolerate something that you know would end up ruining you, thinking they're gonna change. Like someone said to me, you can have a better luck changing the weather than changing a grown person. So don't think you can change anyone. Just know that who they are is who they are. like Oprah would say, when someone shows you who they are the first time, believe them. So don't think you can change any person. Make sure you choose wisely. Make sure you find God first and identify why you're here and the purpose of God for your life before choosing any life partner. I thank you all for joining us today. It's been an awesome time. I hope you've learned one or two things from this segment today. And Mary, I want to thank you so very much for being with us today. I know you're a very busy woman, and I appreciate you for taking the time to share on this important topic. I wish everyone out there a happy Valentine's weekend. Know that God loves you. God is love, and He is the main lover of our souls. And I thank you all for joining. Take care and God bless. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.